Welcome to FRCMedia News for Thursday, October 15th, 2020. I'm Keith Tebow. This week, Fall River sees an uptick in COVID-19 cases, and it's now labeled as one of the state's high-risk communities. A trial date has been set in the federal corruption case against former Fall River Mayor Jasiel Correia. Local vets get financial help from the city to get them back to work. The city celebrates Hispanic Heritage Month and is getting set for early voting, which starts this weekend. All that and more coming up. Confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Fall River have risen over the last 2 weeks, resulting in the city being tabbed as a high-risk community by the Massachusetts Department of Public Health. Now, the designation as a red-level community means the city has a positive response rate of over 8 cases per 100,000 residents over the last 14 days. The latest report, released by the DPH, has Fall River's rate at 8.5, up from 7.3 from a week ago. Now, during our weekly conversation with Fall River Mayor Paul Coogan, he says the city continues to closely monitor the numbers for areas of concern.
Is concerned with COVID every day. I wouldn't really call it a spike though, Keith. Again, we've been running around 95 to 110 cases every 2 weeks. And this week we just happened to bop over a little bit. I'm hoping next week is a better week. I was already down in the Board of Health this morning. They got a Zoom call going on with the state. We're going to stick with the protocols, and we're going to ask residents of Fall River to cooperate. And everybody's kind of fatigued from this illness right now, and at some point it is going to end. But no matter how weary you get or how frustrated you are, if you stay with the protocols that are in place, I think we can get out of this quicker. No one wants this to end more than everybody in government centered down in Fall River, and I'm sure every resident of the city. We'll get there. And again, once we will monitor the numbers for next week, and let's hope that the trend goes in a more positive direction.
Also this week, the city announced that there were 3 positive COVID cases spread out at Morton Middle and Durfee High School. Mayor Coogan says because of the mix of students and staff, pinpointing cases within schools can be a challenge.
What happens though is the same battle we have. Some of these people, if they're staff, some of them might not even live in Massachusetts, so they may go on to Rhode Island's numbers, so it may give us like a false sense of security, although they're in our schools and we have to do all the necessary precautions when someone does test positive. As I've been seeing, schools are actually a pretty safe place to be right now. They're not spiking, there's no jump, and again, it's probably because of the staff and parents and students are all being diligent about keeping their kids safe and following the protocols.
Former Fall River Mayor Jasiel Correia was back before a federal judge this week as attorneys prepare for his trial on alleged bribery and extortion charges. U.S. District Court Judge Douglas Woodlock has set a trial date in the case for January 13th for both Correia and his former chief of staff, Jan Andrade. The mayor faces 24 counts alleging defrauding investors and tax fraud associated with his now-defunct smartphone app company, Snow Owl, and having extorted hundreds of thousands of dollars from marijuana vendors looking for permission to operate in the city. Andrade is facing 6 counts of alleged extortion of one marijuana vendor and bribery. The government contends that she paid Correia half her salary as chief of staff to keep her job. A request by Andrade's attorney to try his client separately from Correia was denied by Judge Woodlock. The city of Fall River this week presented a check for $100,000 to the Veterans Association of Bristol County to support their work in finding jobs for veterans impacted by COVID-19. The funds, which were allocated from both federal CARES Act money and money from the city's Veterans Department, will go toward the Launchpad Veterans Job Training Program. With veteran unemployment on the rise, Mayor Paul Coogan says this infusion of funds will help veterans get back on their feet.
This targeted program will help veterans with interview skills, job placement, resume building, all the things necessary to get back into the workforce. As everyone knows, veterans' unemployment rates are starting to bubble up. And if we can help them down here on Pine Street in Fall River, it's going to go a long way to put them back into the workforce, contributing across the board. But things like this, the Pine Street VABC, and the team we have here are done because people lead with their heart. They work hard, they go out of their way. It's a rainy day. People are down here right now getting food, getting services, and that's why it's important. Not because of a politician coming down to say something. It's important because of the work that goes on every day behind the scenes.
Veterans Association of Bristol County board member Jay Clarkin says the money will come in handy as the organization continues to meet the growing social service needs of local vets.
This particular contribution from community development funds comes at a really critical time. We have veterans unemployed because of this COVID-19 situation. We have veterans who need food. We have veterans who need counseling. And we've been providing these things for 33 years. In this case, we would have been unable to go forward and provide these services without the intervention of Mayor Coogan and Mike Dion. And I want to thank them very much. I wanted to thank the present legislative delegation, Representative Fiola, Senator Rodericks, so on and so forth, for their continuing support of this operation. It's much needed, and we certainly appreciate it.
The city of Fall River last week raised the flags of 5 Latin American countries outside Government Center to commemorate Hispanic Heritage Month. Represented during the flag raising were the countries of Puerto Rico, Ecuador, Mexico, Brazil, and the Dominican Republic, the 5 largest Latin American populations within the city of Fall River. During a brief speaking ceremony, Karina Valencia spoke of how Mexicans were rarely portrayed accurately in local history classes. She soon found out from family members the contributions made by the Latino community within the United States.
As I sought out reflections of my own identity in society, I learned about the vast and varied contributions to American society that all Latinx ethnicities have made. From Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta fighting for workers' rights, to the Young Lords fighting for access to equitable health care, and Sylvia Rivera, a trans woman of Puerto Rican, Mexican, and Venezuelan descent, who set the stage for LGBTQ rights. Seeing my reflection in these and other Latinx leaders was a source of pride, inspiration, and focus. Their examples of perseverance and moral righteousness remind me why I became a lawyer. For too long in the United States, open discrimination was law. That's fact. So there should be no debate about the fact that our systems of justice, education, and health are ripe with inequity. Latinx persons are often on the losing end of all those statistics. But by the year 2035, we will represent more than 15% of the Commonwealth's population. That's only 15 years from now. As one of the Commonwealth's gateway cities, Fall River has always been a harbor for immigrant communities. These populations have driven innovation and economic success in the past, and now is the time to ensure that the resources and safeguards to support our growing Latinx community are in place so that Fall River can continue to be a beacon for the future.
The city of Fall River last week dedicated a refurbished park in the South End after former longtime director of the city's community development agency, Paul Poulos. Mr. Poulos created the CDA and served as its director for nearly 25 years. Current CDA director Michael Dion cited some of the landmark community projects Mr. Poulos played a role in creating through the Federal Community Development Block Grant Program.
Paul Poulos had his hands in everything. The creation of Bicentennial Park, the Kennedy Park swimming pool, the creation of the Fall River Service Center, which is now Health First, the creation of the Child Development Center, development of the senior centers, the city's first 108 loan program for public safety and water infrastructure, funding of the park police, creation of the city's homeless programs, housing rehabilitation programs, thousands of jobs that he created under his economic development programs, recreational programs. I think a lot about the immigrants that came to this country who obtained their citizenship through the CDA Immigration Office, and his work on helping people that were devastated by the Notre Dame church fire. I could go on and on. He was the custodian of hundreds of millions of dollars. Think of how many people in the city have benefited from Paul Poulis's leadership, the programs that he created and successfully watched over. Think how much he improved the lives of the people of Fall River.
Mr. Poulis's son, Michael, called the park a fitting tribute to his father, who prided himself on projects that benefited all city residents.
And I think that this park is really a testament to that. And I think the location of this park next to Fall River Housing Authority property is very, very fitting. Because although the park will be used certainly by the entire neighborhood and enjoyed by the entire neighborhood, it will especially benefit the low and moderate income residents of the Housing Authority property here, who my father sought to improve their lives with all the CDA programs and projects throughout his entire career. And this park will undoubtedly bring enjoyment to their lives.
The renovated park near Maple Gardens includes a basketball court, 2 playgrounds, new signage, and handicapped accessible picnic tables. Election officials in Fall River are getting everything in order to prepare for the anticipated increase in voter interest in the upcoming November 3rd election. Election Commission Chairwoman Kelly Susie Young says the city has received over 13,000 requests for mail and absentee ballots. She says her office has followed a structured process to ensure most of those ballots are in voters' hands by the end of this week.
It's kind of like a 4 or 5 step process. We receive the application, and then we put it into our system, which creates the labels. Then we manually put labels on the outer envelope, the inner envelope, and then we put a barcode label for us to scan on the actual envelope that the ballot gets sealed into. So in the meantime, we're doing quality checking of each step as we do it. We make sure that the person, that the labels say for that person. We make sure the correct ballot is going to that person before we seal it, and then we mail them out.
Voters can still request a mail ballot through 5 p.m. on October 28th. Voters can return mail ballots either through the mail or at a drop-off site located at Government Center. Ms. Susie Young says the mail ballots can be processed as soon as 9 days prior to Election Day.
We actually had an ad on the Secretary's, the Commonwealth's website just to get more poll workers, and we did get quite a few. We are putting extra people at the polling locations, let's say to do like affirmations if somebody needs to show their ID because they're inactive. We allowed for that. We allowed extra checkers, extra people to clean the polling location. So between, the people voting, so we'll make sure everything is safe and secure.
Meanwhile, early in-person voting begins this Saturday at Government Center and lasts for 2 weeks. Here's the schedule. Over the next 2 weekends, voting on Saturdays and Sundays will take place from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. During weekdays, Monday through Thursday hours are 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., with Friday hours from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Voters who have yet to register for the election can still do so either online or at the elections office until October 24th. We'll have more FRCmedia news right after this.
Here are some job descriptions on the latest hot jobs list from the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center. Hospital Screener. St. Anne's Hospital, located at 795 Middle Street, is looking for a part-time hospital screener responsible for asking visitors COVID-19 screening questions and perform temperature checks on visitors. Job number 141026070. Warehouseman. Teufelberger Fiber Rope Corporation, located at 848 Airport Road, is in need of a full-time warehouseman to pick and process customer orders and deliver them to the loading dock in a safe and efficient manner. Job number 141038886. Cardiac sonographer, Charlton Memorial Hospital, located at 363 Highland Avenue, is seeking a full-time cardiac sonographer to assist in the diagnosis or treatment of various human disorders. Job number 140-98547. People Incorporated Preschool, located at 450 Locust Street, is in need of the following full and part-time positions. Maintenance sanitation worker, job number 140-94895. Direct care professional, job number 140-94863. Family Service Association, located at 101 Rock Street, also is in need of the following full and part-time positions. Facilities and Transportation Manager, job number 140-93197. Accounting Assistant, job number 140-93196. For more information on these or other positions, visit Mass Hire JobQuest at jobquest.dcs.eol.mass.gov or call the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
Welcome back. As we get closer to Election Day, time to hear now from more of the candidates on the November 3rd ballot. There are 3 candidates running for election as the next member of Congress in the 9th District. Along with incumbent Democrat Bill Keating and Republican Helen Brady, Coach Michael Manley is seeking consideration under the banner of Coach Team America. Mr. Manley grew up in Bayonne, New Jersey, and spent 35 years teaching physical education and coaching in the New York City school system. He moved to Cape Cod and spent an additional 15 years teaching and coaching there. He says if elected, his top priority will be improving local education.
My plan for education is kids first, kids second, kids always. That is my motto when it comes to the children. Everybody I say that motto to, they said, well, what are we going to give money to? That goes to the administrators. No, I have a plan that first, second, and third graders should read before they go into the 4th grade. I've been in schools where the 35% dropout rate, and most of those kids couldn't read. They gave up when they went to high school because they were pushed along. Kids have to read. Some of the literature out there, 60% of the people that are incarcerated can't read. They're functionally illiterate. They can't read in the 4th grade level. Now, everybody says social injustice and everything. This is a big, big thing. And the other thing is, we have it on Cape Cod. We have school choice. School choice should be mandatory for every Black and Hispanic student. Not mandatory, excuse me. Should be giving them a choice to go to what school. Give the parents a choice to send their kids to what school they want.
Mr. Manley says in terms of handling the COVID-19 pandemic, there is no one person or institution to blame for the number of infections or deaths. And in terms of reviving the economy, Congress should focus on its commitment to new financial assistance.
The small business people are getting hurt badly. And that's the backbone of American society. I think when they do vote on these bills and they add this and they add that, it should be one single bill for one certain set of problems. They should have a bill immediately now to help all the small businesses, help them financially, help them with their health care, and do the right thing. You don't add on for the Kennedy Senator, and you don't add on for Planned Parenthood and voters stuff. You take single issue votes and then give that money. That's where they waste all their time, and that's where they get their division. They're not looking out for the people who need it. They're looking out for their own interests.
Although he did not name a candidate he will support for president, Mr. Manley says he's a former Democrat turned off by the party's left-leaning policies. He feels most voters do not ascribe to the extremes of either party.
I think a lot of people are fed up, the way I'm hearing it out there, with the two-party system. They said you can't get along. And then they ask you, how would you do it? Well, first of all, I'm not beholden to any party. Second of all, I already do research. There's different things you have to cooperate with. We have a cranberry crop here. Wisconsin is the #1 in cranberries, taking over from Massachusetts. So right away, you have an ally with whoever's up there as the congressperson. And I'm big on having coffee. Let's have coffee. Let's talk about it. Let's get the job done. I'm not beholden to any party. I'm just no lobbyist. I'm just beholden to the people of District 9. One of my great things is we should have an attitude of gratitude for the United States. And I also listen, which is a big thing. People don't listen. They just want to hear themselves talk. Parties just want to have their own power. They want to just knock everybody. Hate is not a good look for America.
Mr. Manley says an increase in mail voting in some states may lead to election concerns, but he feels protections in Massachusetts makes voting by mail secure. Former Somerset Police Chief Joseph Ferreira is seeking his 4th two-year term as a member of the Governor's Council. He's running unopposed. Mr. Ferreira was first elected as a governor's councilor back in 2014. His district encompasses 47 communities from the Rhode Island border to Cape Cod and the islands. He and the other 7 councilors are charged with approving all gubernatorial appointments, such as judges and clerk magistrates. The council is also in charge of granting pardons and commutations. Mr. Ferreira says his service as a police officer and now as a lawyer makes him qualified to vote on all judicial appointments.
I think it makes a whole lot of difference when you have people that are deciding who should be judges, are people that observe and learn in court, and you get to know the lawyers. You get to know the good, the bad, and the ugly, because not all lawyers are created equal or have the right temperament to become a judge, or the smartness, candidly. So I think it's very important to have people that are in the field deciding whether or not other people should be a judge. I know the players. I also advocate for local lawyers, great local lawyers, to become judges. So to that extent, I have held seminars on how to become a judge down the Cape and in Dartmouth. And I can tell you that some of the people that have come to the seminars are now judges. So I think it's extremely important. And also, I think it's important that you have someone who's done civil practice, criminal practice. Like I said, I've prosecuted people. I've also defended some people now that I'm not a police officer anymore. So I think it's extremely important to have well-rounded individuals on the council who seek to appoint people with good temperament and good talent to our bench. And I'm a big advocate of local lawyers becoming judges in our local region.
Mr. Ferreira says that unlike the appointment of judges on the federal level, the appointment of judges in Massachusetts, including to the state Supreme Judicial Court, is not blinded by political partisanship.
It's not political like that at all. It's not Democrat, Republican. There's no litmus test for that. We look for the best people for the bench, and we don't do this horse trading that you see in the Senate, where they try to, not have confirmation hearings and this and that. You mentioned the Supreme Court, so something that viewers may not know, there are 7 people on our Massachusetts Supreme Court. So you're a dual citizen. You're a citizen of the federal government. You're a citizen of Massachusetts. You have the protection of 2 constitutions, the federal constitution and the state constitution. The state constitution can give you more rights, but not less rights than a federal constitution. So there are 7 people in Massachusetts called the Supreme Judicial Court. that are appointed by, again, nominated by the governor, and with our advice and consent, they sit on the court. I have had the privilege of saying yes to 5 of the 7, which is historically never happened in such a short period. And there are 2 vacancies coming up. So within the next 3 to 6 months, I will have said yes to every single person on the Supreme Judicial Court. And Charlie Baker, as a governor, will have nominated every single person on the Supreme Judicial Court within a 5-year period. That hasn't happened since 1781, when John Hancock was the governor. So the court was established, Constitution 1780, and the first year, the governor back then, Hancock, got to choose the entire Supreme Court, and now Charlie Baker is the first governor ever to do that 230 years later.
We invite you to visit our special Election 2020 webpage, frmedia.org/election 2020, where you can find links to our complete interviews with the candidates and ballot initiatives facing the voters on November 3rd. We'll have more FRC Media news right after this.
Hi, welcome to Hot Dogs and Cool Cats. Today we have Oscar. Oscar here is a mostly white short hair, about 5 years old. He is a shy guy. You can tell he is very sweet cat. He's just a little shy here at the shelter. It's a lot for him. If you have a calm homes environment, and you can kind of take your time to kind of bond with him. Like I said, he's a very sweet cat. Very affectionate, so he is good with other cats. They don't seem to faze him whatsoever. So yeah, he's a sweet guy who just needs a little peace and quiet. So if you think you can provide that, you can come down to 300 Linwood Street in Fall River, Massachusetts, at Forever Paws Animal Shelter.
Welcome to Hot Dogs and Cool Cats. Today we have Vinny Venus. As you can see, he does have a deformed eye. There is a chance that it can be saved, but there's also another chance that it will have to be removed. He is very friendly. He does love bites. He's very playful. He's affectionate. He's a fun little guy. If that would be too much to handle, with the deformity, we do have plenty of other kittens to look at. What Vinny does is he stays in the cage in the kitten room. He was just playing a little rough at first, so that's why we had him separated. But he is very playful, though. He does like the other cats. Come down to Forever Paws Animal Shelter at 300 Linwood Street in Fall River, Mass. Come meet Vinny and all of our kittens.
That's all for this edition of FRC Media News. Please visit our website, frmedia.org, for all the latest news and information, as well as that special Election 2020 webpage. FRC Media News airs Thursdays at 6 p.m. and Fridays at 5:30 p.m. For all of us here at FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next Thursday.